citizens of the internet, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Couch Side Correspondents Podcast. For some crazy reason, Anthony decided to let me intro to this next one.
I'm sorry, guys. He insisted, and it's gonna go bad.
But good news, since I'm gonna be hosting this one, and you know from the first one of my dense incompetence when it comes to podcasting, we have a special guest here to cover for me. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself, special guest?
Hey guys, my name's Ken.
And
Well,
yeah,
excellent
hi Ken.
work.
Starting off exciting. We're so how's it going, Ricky?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like we're a little more on top of things this time.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
What?
This is the second episode of our podcast.
Oh,
did
my
you know
gosh. You're kidding.
that? I actually don't know. I was asking you if this is the second episode of our podcast.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is.
Ah, cool.
We're doing a little better job this time. You may remember from the first one we recorded at 11. We've got it dialed back to like 9:45 this time.
We made a little bit of progress. I mean, I'm still
Anthony
not.
showed up only like 3 hours ago instead of 5.
It was so good. I was like, yeah, let's get this done. And then Netflix happened, and that
Blaming Netflix again. Netflix, if you'd like to sponsor us.
I mean, to be fair, I did, watch a bunch of your stuff just now. I support you, Netflix. Can you support me?
Well, special guest, Ken, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing quite well, Rick. I also was watching Netflix with these guys, and let me tell you,
Yeah,
Netflix is great.
Netflix is pretty great.
Ken knows.
That's
You can trust Ken. Now,
Maybe.
if we were sports players, I
Yeah.
like to think that I'd be a little bit like Jonathan Quick,
Yeah.
turns in the net,
okay.
keeping all the hard shots out.
So a little bit of an obscure reference, but
Anthony
hockey.
here. Anthony here would be the Peyton Manning, He breaks the records that actually get headlines. You may remember Ultimate Frisbee champion of 2014,
It's
Anthony
true.
Farmer.
It's true.
Also, football analogy. Ken here, I don't know, Chris Paul? You
No,
Chris Paul?
DeAndre Jordan.
Omaha. All right.
Excellent.
So, what have you been up to this week, Ricky?
I have been up to yet more homework. I
Yeah.
don't want to complain about this every podcast, but I will.
It's gonna happen.
Because I need to complain about it to someone, and the internet has
Guys.
many ears.
Yeah, feel bad for us.
Did have 2 exams this week. Feel like I have some right to complain.
How'd that go?
Well, no.
No.
First
Let's,
one was fine. Second one could have gone better, but I don't want to dwell on
Yeah.
that. I
Focus on the bright side.
I didn't get a chance to play as many video games this week as last week. Did, however, spend some time making a video game, if you will.
Oh man.
You may remember I am in the university computer science program, and I decided to sharpen my skills by writing a tic-tac-toe game.
Tic-tac-toe. Wait,
yep.
who's are you gonna name your tic-tac-toe program?
Nope,
No?
not planning on it.
Dang
Should
it.
name it after me.
The Ken tic-tac-toe program.
I'll take care of that right after the podcast.
Patent pending.
Tat-toe.
I can change out the graphics to be just variations of Ken's face. Everything will be great. But Anthony, what have
What's
you been
up?
up to this week?
I've been doing a lot, Ricky.
Have you?
Actually, I just recently gave myself a haircut. That was interesting because I just recently started cutting my own hair. It's harder than it sounds. Like, I thought it would be easier. And I thought it can save me money. I'm a poor college kid. I'd rather spend my money on cheap ramen noodles and video games.
As would we all.
Correct.
But it's tough. Like, especially since I don't have a second mirror, so I can't see the back of my head when I'm cutting my hair.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. Like, the day after I give myself a haircut, I'm always terrified just walking around because I would never know if I just shaved off a huge chunk of my hair in the back of my head, or if there's just like a big lump of hair that I forgot to cut and it's just sitting back there. For all I know, the back of my head could have a smiley face shaved into it. I could be Wilson from Castaway and I wouldn't even know.
Excellent. I trust that you used a lawnmower to shave your shave your head.
No, Ricky. I go old school. I used a machete.
Well,
Yeah.
I like it.
I ain't about that gas power
Ain't
here.
about that gas power.
I'm what you call hairstyle Amish. I believe that we had the perfect amount of technology to cut our hair before the lawnmower.
Beautiful.
So what's your opinion on the razor blade?
On the razor blade? Yeah, I can take the razor blade. It's not as manly of a tool as a machete, but, you know.
Manliness is important when it comes to cutting your own hair.
It's true. It's true. And then I make myself seem like a girl when I nick myself, and then I have to call my mom crying because I think I'm going to die, bleeding out.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We know from your appendix story that she knows you're tough.
Oh.
Ken, what have
Yes.
you been doing with the week?
Well, my week seems to be slightly better than Rick's. No exams, luckily, but some homework, and I did get a chance to play some video games.
Yeah?
So,
What
What were
have you
you
been playing?
I've
Oh, sorry.
been Aw. So I've been playing a lot of XCOM Enemy Unknown lately, because Rick recommended it.
I did.
And it is quite fantastic.
Ken was one of the lucky people that actually got to hear about the sale before it ended, which I think it did last week.
Yeah, yeah, our posting might have been a little bit late. And to be honest, I don't think many people actually heard about the sale,
Yeah.
but
Well,
we're getting better.
If you use Steam, you don't need to hear it from me.
Yeah, that's true.
But Ken, how have you been liking XCOM?
I've been liking it a lot. It's a turn-based strategy game, and that is a type of game that I've never played before, and it made me think.
What did it
and
make
it was
you?
also fun.
What did it make you think about?
Well,
Pancakes?
trying not to die really, really hard, because I'm not the brightest. But man, XCOM, I think it's making me a better student, guys.
Really?
Well, other than the fact that I'm not doing homework because of it. But
High
mean,
praise. High praise coming from our resident other double major.
Yeah, so just to be clear, it didn't make you think about pancakes?
no pancakes.
Okay.
Some hamburgers though.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
I don't know why I keep bringing that up. Maybe I'm just craving pancakes. I don't know.
This may come up more than once in the coming podcast, but I've been trying to convert everyone in my group of friends to what you may refer to as the glorious PC gaming master race for a period of weeks now, and I think I'm making progress. I think I'm making some slow progress there.
Yeah, I'm still mainly a console guy. I have a gaming PC, and I play some PC games, but
Not with
It's-
me though.
it's true. I prefer a solitary experience because I am the knight. I am Batman.
You heard it here first, gentlemen and ladies, that Anthony is in fact the Batman Ultimate Frisbee Champion of 2014.
It's
Who
true.
also cuts his hair with a machete.
Is correct. Very exciting man.
Got some of that ninja training. So, it's been a pretty exciting week outside of our humdrum lives, I'd say. I mean, there's a lot of news that's coming out. One thing that I really wanted to talk about that was swinging around this week is there has been a lot of comic book movie news. And for those of you that don't know, I am a huge nerd when it comes to comic books and comic book movies and anything along that line. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about some of this stuff, guys. The first thing that came along this week, there was a big announcement coming out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they're basically saying that Captain America 3 is going to be the Civil War storyline. And for any of you guys who aren't comic buffs, the Marvel Civil War is basically, it was an event comic, but it was where they took all the heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so pretty much any hero you can imagine, and they split them onto two sides. And the storyline sort of goes along the premise of the government starts realizing that heroes are a liability, that they cause a lot of property damage, and that they can't really be held liable for their actions. So they come up with a piece of legislation and they say, hey, all the superheroes, all the people who dress up in masks and go and fight crime, you have to go in and you have to register with the government. You have to let them know what you can do, what your power is, and what your identity is, basically, so that they can track you and they can hold you accountable for stuff. And that basically splits the heroes right down the middle for those who agree with it and those who don't. And basically, the two forefronts is you have Captain America leading the anti-side, saying that heroes should be able to keep their stuff private and that he doesn't want to be, that's sort of weird because you usually think of Captain America as sort of the Boy Scout, coming in and, wanting to be, all pro-government, but it's Iron Man who comes in and says that, yes, the heroes need to register and that, yeah, it's a good thing to keep them registered. And that sort of just leads to a whole big skirmish. But the news actually broke from Robert Downey Jr., who plays Iron Man in the movies, and he basically came out and said, I will be in Captain America 3, and that it's basically him just causing a panic with nerds like me. As you can tell, because I'm still freaking out about it.
That is really interesting, Anthony. I'd heard something about the new movie being a Civil War story, but I didn't read comic books growing up, so when I heard that, I was trying to imagine, well, because we had World War II Captain America, and then he came forward to the future, how does he get back to Civil War days?
I mean, time traveling's going to come pretty soon. It's on its way, and that's sort of when comics devolve and just fall apart, is when you start bringing in all the multiple universes and then time travel, and that gets ugly, but it's coming pretty soon.
I agree, though. That is really interesting. I wouldn't have because this is actually all news to me. I didn't know any of the stuff that you're telling me before you said it just now, but I would have imagined that Captain America would be the one, especially after the more recent Captain America movie, the one that wanted to make sure that heroes were keeping their powers in check and that everyone was sort of behaving within the lines. And Iron Man being all in favor of everyone registering. Wow, that sounds really out of character. Anthony, who's your favorite superhero besides Batman?
Well, you got me there. It's got to be Batman at number one. And I don't want to sound like a hipster, but I like Batman before he was cool.
Yeah. Were you a big fan of that, 60s Batman with the...
yeah, Adam West, dude. It's all about that bat shark repellent. That's all where it is.
Wonderful.
But I don't know. My hero stuff sort of flips around to who I like to keep track of. And I don't really read comics anymore just because I don't have the time or the money to invest in them. But I really liked Spider-Man for a long time. Spider-Man's probably my second favorite out of all the heroes.
Oh, that does take me back to last semester when I was still living in the dorms, when Anthony did actually drag me out of the dorm building by my feet and threw me into one of our friends' cars, and we all went off to see which Spider-Man movie was it?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I think Ken was there too, wasn't he?
I was not there.
Ken was not there.
I had to write a paper that wonderful weekend.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yay, honors classes.
Yeah, it's true.
Ken, though,
Yes.
who's your favorite superhero?
Well, it's got to be the Hulk.
Gotta be the Hulk.
Gotta be the Hulk.
Hulking out.
Why the Hulk?
Well, Hulk smash. I mean, enough said.
He's mean and he's green.
That's all you really gotta say.
Dude, the Hulk is so overpowered, though. Like, in the movie universe, they sort of scaled him back so that other people can compete with him. But in the comics, it gets to ridiculous levels. It's like they've established that his lungs are so powerful that he can breathe in space because he can suck, he can create enough of a suction to draw oxygen from other atmospheres. And that's just, I don't like that. I like a fine distinction between my heroes, between superhero and god. I mean, when they
So what's your opinion on Thor?
Well played, Ricky. I didn't read many Thor comics, but speaking from the movies, I think they handled that really well. I mean, they sort of talk about Thor as an alien, like this alien race that's sort of like, they're more technologically advanced than us, and then they're also very culturally different.
Yeah.
So they sort of handle that as they're not really gods, just are the primitive humans who encountered them, just sort of explain them that way, just to provide, I don't know, context.
Sure. And I guess you'd have to with something that is that advanced compared to us. My favorite superhero was always, and always being, as recently as I started being ever so slightly interested in the superhero stuff, Captain America.
Yeah.
And that goes back to some of what I was saying with the most recent movie. I like that Captain America is, in contrast to some of the other ones, such a moral-focused superhero, and I think it's cool that he tries really hard to sort of keep in check. Iron Man, therefore, is my least favorite superhero.
Oh, man, but he's got so much personality.
Oh, yeah, but it's all bad.
And that goatee, dude. You can't dislike the goatee.
I respect Robert Downey Jr. so much as an actor. I do not like any of his roles in anything.
No? Have you guys gotten to see, what's that new movie he's in? Is it The Judge? I think that's the one he's in. It's a sort of a courtroom drama. I haven't gotten to see it yet, but I really want to. And it's got him, Robert Downey Jr., and Robert Duvall in it. And he's Robert Duvall's son. And Robert Duvall is the judge of this small local town. But they had a falling out in their family, and that sort of caused Robert Downey Jr. to leave the town and, go become this big successful lawyer. But the premise of the movie is the judge, Robert Duvall, sort of gets in trouble. Like, they're thinking that he might have murdered someone. So Robert Downey Jr. has to come back and defend him. And I don't know, it's supposed to be all heartfelt, and it looks pretty good from the trailers, but I actually really like Robert Downey Jr. as an actor. He does good work.
Fair enough.
Have you guys seen the Sherlock Holmes movies?
I have not.
No?
No.
That's a shame. They're also really good. If you guys listening haven't seen the Sherlock Holmes movies, go see it. It's excellent plot lines, great mystery, and also really cool slow-mo effects.
But just to take it back really quick, my favorite superhero movies growing up had to be X-Men 1 and 2. I was a big fan of those X-Men movies.
I think that's what started the superhero movie craze that's going on right now, because those were the first ones that came out that were universally liked, And I think it sort of led off with that. Then there were the Spider-Man movies that were made with Tobey Maguire that were generally well received, except for the third one, which we're just going to pretend like that doesn't exist. But now everybody's making superhero movies. It's sort of the big craze in Hollywood. And coming from a nerd like me, that it's a good time to be a moviegoer.
Ironically enough, my favorite sort of non-mainline superhero, my favorite X-Men character, I guess you'd say, was always Gambit, and it made me so sad, and is making me so sad, that he doesn't play a larger role in most any of the X-Men movies thus far. If you're listening, X-Men people, make one about Gambit, please. He's so cool. The Ragin' Cajun, man.
Yeah, you're in luck, Ricky, though. They're actually planning on making a Gambit movie pretty soon.
Are they really?
Yeah. I mean, they had him show up in, what was it, X-Men Origins, the Wolverine one, and that is generally considered the worst X-Men movie out of the lot.
Yeah, I didn't see that one for the poor reception.
You shouldn't go see it. It's pretty bad, and that's coming from me, who usually likes comic book movies, but they're actually saying that with the new wave of X-Men movies coming out, the First Class and then Days of Future Past, they're actually talking about how they're wanting to expand that universe. And the rumors that have been going around are that they're trying to get Channing Tatum to sign on and play Gambit for a couple of movie deal.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd love to see that. I wasn't a huge Gambit fan as a kid. I liked him. I watched a lot of X-Men cartoons. That was my jam growing up as a kid. I would wake up for Saturday morning cartoons, and I'd always love the X-Men when they come on.
Would you say that it was your space jam, Anthony?
Oh, slamma jamma, pass me the rock, dog.
Please don't do that ever again.
Yeah, you're Peyton Manning, remember? You're
Omaha?
the football player.
That's true.
Pass me the rock.
Yeah, it's all right. Speaking of Peyton Manning, though, he broke the record this week for all-time touchdown passes, right?
Yeah,
Did he?
yeah.
You probably know more about that than me, Ken. You
Well, I know it made some big news, and during the game they had their own little ceremony cut out during the game. Took time to pay homage to him.
Yeah, they played keep away, didn't they?
They did. I believe it was Emmanuel Sanders and Wes Welker kept tossing his record-breaking touchdown ball over his head until Peyton got mad and walked off to the sideline
and yelled Omaha and left.
Probably, actually. That's usually how he makes an exit. I'm told.
It's a little bit of a weird segue. We jumped from really nerdy comic book stuff into sports, but that's it works.
Well, we do have perhaps one of the biggest fans of the Broncos in this room.
That's true.
Ken.
It's Ricky, right?
No, actually.
Ken's a pretty big fan.
I am a hardcore Broncos fan. I've liked the Broncos since as long as I can remember, and for the first time in probably close to a decade, they made a move that really made me upset.
Yeah.
Their release of Matt Prater, their kicker.
Yeah, the kicker.
Who may or may not. Well, he definitely is my favorite football player in the league right now.
Aww.
Which made me sad. But,
where did Matt Prater go next?
He ended up on the Detroit Lions.
So he's not long for his career is probably.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Ken, can we expect that you are going to be a bigger fan of the Lions in this coming season?
It is very probable. It is very probable.
Might
What?
have problems.
You're not a Lions fan, Anthony.
I don't dislike them. I just like making fun of the Lions because they're not that great.
They aren't, but they have Prater now.
That's true.
So
For my hockey people out there,
Oh.
Jonathan Quick, Kings goalie, recently shattered the NHL record for most shutout games. So, woo-woo!
Go
And,
Kings!
You know, these guys don't care, but hockey fans anymore.
I don't
want to care. I want to care.
Ken wants to care.
I want to like hockey. It's just never on television, and there's no professional hockey team anywhere near us.
Well, I mean, we have the Avalanche close.
But that's like,
but they're not
over
very
100.
good. They're not
Hey.
very good.
hey, you're right.
I mean, there's something like 1-5 last time I checked.
Well,
It's pretty unfortunate, but
they did win one.
yeah,
They're trying really hard.
it's true.
I don't think they are.
Aw,
Oh,
they better be. They're making bank.
I mean,
It's
they're
true.
still probably doing better than the Rockies, but
Probably the Rockies are done for the season. So
yeah, I don't keep up with baseball, but like, I know that the Rockies did terrible this past season.
that, as expected.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, the Rockies aren't an elite team by
No.
any means.
speaking of doing terrible, our very own football team, which we were talking about last week on the podcast, recently had what is affectionately referred to as the Border War, where we play against, football players anyway, play against Colorado State, and as happened last year, did not go so well. They fought it real hard in the fourth. Last I checked the score, they brought it up to within 14,
Wow.
but still not a great game.
It wasn't pretty. UW just was not prepped for that game. Like, I'm sure they tried really hard, but it just wasn't our day or year.
Yeah.
Or decade.
We'll get there someday. Just keep working hard.
We can hope.
Anthony, it's my understanding
Hey, Ricky.
that you have yet another mini sequence.
Oh, you almost said it. I almost got you.
Mini segment for us today.
Guess what, guys? It's time for another mini sequence, because they sparkle. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do another mini segment for you guys. Hopefully it'll be fun. This time we're getting into a little game we like to call Google Complete, or Google Say What? And the basic rules for this are sort of similar to what we did last week with the famous celebrity quotes. But basically what I do is I take a common sort of beginning of a phrase, so like, how would, or how do you, or does it make, and I take that and I type it into Google, and then I look through the list of Google's autocomplete options. And Google, basically how it works with their algorithms is they take the most searched, so basically the most search options, and they add it to your list of suggestions. So I look for the most ridiculous autocomplete that I can possibly find, and I write it down. And then I make up two other phrases based off of that same initial, like, start of the phrase that I had come up with. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read off the options, and we're going to see if my friends here, Ricky and Ken, can go ahead and guess which one was the real Google Complete and how ridiculous people actually search on the internet. But anyways, the phrase that I started off with was, how would you? So the phrase was, how would you? And the first option that I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to give you guys three, was, how would you kill a saber-toothed tiger? The second one is, how would you die on the sun? The third one was, how would you move Mount Fiji? You guys got any clue?
These
Any
are
clue?
all excellent options. Could you read those off again, just for emphasis?
All right, first search option, how would you kill a saber-toothed tiger? Second one, how would you die on the sun? Third one, how would you move Mount Fiji?
Well,
They're pondering.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I could provide,
So
Jeopardy.
we each get a guess, correct?
That is correct.
That is correct, thank you. I'm new here.
Well,
I
Sorry,
don't mean to interrupt your nice tune.
I'm
but-
leaving you in the dark.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass my vote. I think it was the first one. I think it was How to Kill a Saber-Toothed Tiger.
All right.
I'm going with
Ken?
How Would You Die on the Sun?
How would you die on the sun? I'm sorry, guys. You both got it wrong.
Wow.
The
Astronomically low odds.
Google
What are the
complete.
chances?
I mean,
1 in
it's
3.
like 1 in 3, but we'll keep moving. The actual Google complete that it came from How Would You was How Would You Move Mount Fiji, and this was like the third option down. That means a lot of people searched that.
Wow.
What would be the practical? I can't even speak. I'm dumbfounded. What would be the practical use of that?
What is their motivation, Anthony?
I don't know, but I'm curious now. I'm gonna start. Maybe there's like a legitimate reason that people want to move Mount Fiji.
I don't know.
I don't know. Japan's weird.
Yeah.
I won't go there.
Well, moving on. Anthony.
Ricky.
Ken.
Hi.
We eat lunch together sometimes, right?
Do we?
Perhaps.
Well, I mean, Ken less often with us than
sorry.
Anthony and I together.
That's true.
But we had a conversation this week that I really wanted to bring up on the podcast and talk about a little bit more. Do you guys remember what we were talking about?
I have to be honest. I don't.
Well-
I have short-term memory loss, so I'm gonna have a hard time.
If you check the left screen under topic 2,
Oh,
There it is.
I believe that I've
So
made
meta.
a note here, unless my eyes betray me, that we had a conversation about some of our favorite TV shows, cartoons, and the
That's
like
true.
from our childhoods and shows that we remember and all that great stuff.
stuff like that.
And man, some of them so worth remembering. Anthony,
That's true.
what were some of your favorite shows?
As a kid, I watched a lot of cartoons. I probably watched an unhealthy amount of cartoons, but I like to think it made me a better person.
Define unhealthy.
I didn't see the sun for some days
Hmm.
because I just watched cartoons a lot.
I mean, it's the way it ought to be, really, but go on.
Yeah, that's true. But probably, I always narrow it down to a top 3, and the top 3 cartoons for me have got to be all from Cartoon Network in its golden age. The
Okay.
first one had to be The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which was a great show. It was about these 2 little kids, Billy and Mandy, coincidentally, and they basically tricked the Grim Reaper because one of their hamsters was going to die, so the Grim Reaper comes and he's like, I'm going to take your hamster. And they basically con the Grim Reaper into being their best friend for basically all time. And it gets up to all their shenanigans, and it's pretty great. The Grim Reaper's Jamaican, so there's that. The second show that it comes down to me has to be Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which is exactly what it sounds like, and it was gold. And the third show has got to be Ed, Edd, and Eddy. And
Yeah.
that was a great show. It was about these 3 they were probably in their teens or tweens.
I don't think they were supposed to be. I think they were supposed to be like late elementary school.
Late
but,
elementary? Okay.
But watching that doesn't really look like that, does it?
Nah, they look older. I mean, Eddie's supposed to be short, but he does look older. I don't know. That was a weird show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that show. I thought it was good. My mom hated that show.
Yeah, why'd she hate it?
Well, I later found out pretty recently that my older brother, who is 9 years older than me, explained to her that the cast was pretty much all on drugs.
Yeah.
And my mom took that to the bank, and so she didn't like me watching that show. But I watched it anyway. You can't control what your kids watch on television.
That's true. You can't. You can set a password, but they will crack it and then lock you out of the password setting.
And then Foster's Home, boy, that was later in my cartoon watching career.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really a fair thing to call it, but
That was like in your retirement age
Yeah.
of cartoon watching.
that was around the time that I'd sort of been not watching TV to watch TV anymore and had just put it on as ambient noise. But Foster's Home, excellent show. My favorite part about that show really was just lying to my young self and telling myself that if I believed hard enough that my imaginary friend would come to life. That's made up. I didn't have an imaginary friend.
Oh, that's disappointing. I totally had an imaginary friend.
It made me want to have an imaginary friend. I couldn't bring myself to having an imaginary friend.
Yeah,
it made me want to, though.
To be fair, you were probably a normal child who went outside occasionally.
Yeah.
So you probably had a couple of real friends. I didn't.
I think I played video games on my my father's old what would it have been, like a Windows 98 computer or something?
Oh, classics.
Oh, those were the days. Ken, what were your favorite cartoons growing up?
My memory betrays me, but one cartoon that stands out is definitely Codename Kids Next Door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that show is fantastic.
Tell us about it.
So it has these 5 elementary school kids, I would say, who are agents fighting for this united network of kids where all adults in the universe are supervillains, and these kids have crazy weapons made out of soda bottles and a treehouse base, and it made me smile every time I watched it.
You know what I think about every time I see that show, though? Is this is probably what it's like in little kids' heads as they're going through, and like me as a kid when I was playing with my friends that I may or may not have had, I always sort of had this active imagination where things were bigger and grander than what was actually going on. So I imagine that the kids next door is just like playtime and the kids imagining what they're doing. And then I try to imagine, what does this really look like? Just a bunch of kids running around in cardboard boxes pretending they're like ships. And how annoyed must the adults get with all this stuff going on?
That is such a children's sort of runaway imagination type story, though, isn't it? That the adults are all super villains, that their tree houses are actually these huge elaborate bases, that they can build weapons out of planks of wood.
They employ slavery, hamster labor.
Forgot about that.
Well.
It gets dark.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I thought that originally in the show I started thinking about, well, kids eventually come adults, so how are they going to justify that? When did the kids just turn evil, basically? Yeah. And I didn't think they were going to go that direction, but they did address that in the show, and they did address retiring Kids Next Door agents, and some of that got a little heavier than I thought the show was originally going to go. But
yeah, it got pretty deep. We were actually watching this show.
It's true.
Just yesterday,
Yes.
I believe. We had a gathering here to watch most of season 4.
Dang it, Netflix.
But other cartoons, Ken?
Well, I'm gonna throw out a cop-out answer, being SpongeBob SquarePants.
I was hoping someone would.
So
that's fair enough. I have to say that I enjoy SpongeBob. I still occasionally watch SpongeBob, even though I'm in college.
Oh, it's so good.
it is very good.
It's so good.
There's a lot of adult humor in that show.
It's surprising, honestly.
Not so much in the newer episodes, but before the movie came out, the writers were really clever. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick basically adopt a baby clam and make it their baby.
Yes.
I remember this episode.
And I remember they were taking it for a walk in the stroller, and they walk past this just random fish in the background, but it stops on him, the camera, and just above his head, it does this thing where it goes sponge plus star equals clam, and then it put a question mark. And as a kid, I was like, what does that mean? And then going back and watching it, wow. Wow. That,
Well,
I still don't know what it means. Can you guys explain?
I was starting to feel dumb because I thought that you were saying that it's not a mystery anymore, and boy, I don't know where they were going with that.
Yeah,
I have
jeez.
no clue.
Write in and explain to us what you think that means, if you know, magical mystery people. Teach me the ways of adulthood. Yeah. But, did you guys ever watch WB? The kids, the channel WB used to have, on Saturday mornings, the WB Kids, and it had, a bunch of cartoons. One of them that I just still remember for some reason was Pinky and the Brain. Did you guys ever watch that show?
I watched a little bit of Pinky and the Brain.
That was such a weird show. For anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's these two basically lab mice who are complete opposites. It's Pinky and the Brain Brain's really smart, and then Pinky's just this goofy, wild card of the group.
I never would have guessed that the Brain is smart.
Yeah. I mean, they might have thrown you like a curveball, and the Brain could be totally dumb.
Good.
Maybe that's also just like a complete like coma dream scenario where the Brain is just this messed up lab rat from experiments who's just envisioning himself as really smart, and then his roommate lab rat is basically Pinky, who he likes to envision as really dumb, but the reality of it is that Pinky was just this much smarter, much more physically fit lab rat who beat him at all the tests until the Brain's accident.
That's dark.
Yeah.
Man, I don't like to think about those stories. I don't know what sick satisfaction people get from coming up with these really, really awful explanations for cartoons. I've heard more than a few by now. Like
Winnie
there's
the Pooh.
Yeah, like Winnie the
Yeah.
Pooh. Tell
They're
us
all-
about it.
So there's a theory that each character in the Winnie the Pooh cartoon represents a different psychological disorder. Being a psychology major among a math major, but we won't go there. Theory fits, but I don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too sad.
Piglet's OCD, right?
I believe so. I haven't watched that in
That's
quite some time.
That's
Yeah.
the one that really like sticks out with me. The rest of them I can sort of see, but like might be a stretch because like in Winnie the Pooh they're actually like all characters and they're
They are.
they're a little complex. I mean, it's a children's show, so you can't go too deep, but they all have sort of their own personalities. So I don't like classifying them just
That's
as
true.
a personality disorder, but I can see where people get that.
Yeah.
Is Eeyore is that the donkey?
Yeah, the donkey.
Yeah, he is one of the stronger points for depression.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
I don't
yeah.
know. I gotta think sometimes people just get caught up in looking for deeper meanings for
Yeah.
things, but man, they get way darker than that. Like, there's
Yeah.
definitely a theory around the internet for Foster's Home that it's all in like the main assistant lady's head, and she's just crazy and schizophrenic, and her grandma checks in on her and cries because she's sitting there in a daze, and none of it's real. I almost cried when I
Yeah.
read that theory.
I think people, probably just people sitting around on Reddit, like to think that they're more creative than they are, so they just try to come up with a sad story. Because generally in writing, it's much easier to come up with like a sob story than it is anything else, because you think that'll get an emotional tug that'll get people to want to read your stuff, but most of it's just unfounded, just like unneeded sadness.
Yeah.
That's something that really makes me mad about the internet, and internet comments just in general, man. Those are ugly.
Let's not go there.
No,
But man, even kids next door though, people love to theorize about. I've definitely seen an image on like, I think it was on 9gag or one of those meme sites where the whole thing was just number one, who was like the leader of the core cast in the hospital, like undergoing chemotherapy, and all the stuff that in the show was just his drawings. I
Oh,
was like, wow. That's
That-
horrifying.
they just drew that because he was bald?
Yeah, I think so.
My God,
No.
I don't know. I'm not gonna accept that.
Ken's having a crisis right now. I didn't
Yeah,
mean
he
Rick,
curled up.
why?
He definitely curled up into a ball, lying on the floor, crying. It's okay, Ken.
It's okay, Ken. It's not
It's-
real.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
not
make
real.
the sadness go away. I'll get the defibrillator.
All the
Hey,
kids
I
actually
don't want to
had
get shocked either.
all the kids actually had these intergalactic space buses that they flew around
Yes, that makes much more sense.
I
in.
mean,
Got into fights with father.
like Magic School Bus, man. That stuff was totally real. I actually had that teacher as a kindergarten teacher, and we definitely shrank down in that little school bus and went inside one of my friend's veins. And that was an adventure that we had. And then the kids, I for some reason they didn't put me in that show. I guess they just decided to focus on a different class because that teacher gets around. And then all those kids that... Have you heard the theory that the kids from the Magic School Bus grew up to be the kids in Captain Planet?
I have heard that theory actually.
That just,
So
like...
I'm gonna sound dumb, but I don't know what Captain Planet is.
really?
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well, right after this podcast, we're gonna have to go watch Captain Planet. But
Yeah.
it's basically, it's this, I guess you call him a superhero,
Uh-huh.
but he,
He's the eco superhero.
yeah, he's all about environment and, like, sustainability and save the whales. And he basically has this group of kids that follow him around that are sort of like Power Rangers mixed with Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
They have, like, all these powers, like courage.
That's a weird
and-
cross, but it's fair.
It's true. I I don't know. That's just what came to mind.
Mm.
But one of them definitely had the power of heart. And I always felt bad for that kid because...
What? Please elaborate.
So they each had like this like area that they focused on in their powers, like courage or... I can't remember any of them besides heart.
Okay.
It's been too long.
Heart was definitely the one that always stuck out to me just because like... Did they pick their powers, or did they, like, draw straws? Because that kid definitely drew the shortest straw. Like, nobody would want to pick heart. Yeah. What are you gonna do with that? I'm gonna carry you to death. Let's be really nice to the bad guys. Maybe our hugs will stop them.
Yeah.
Free hugs.
I mean, it worked for the Care Bears.
Yeah.
But the Care Bears...
That crossed my mind. I didn't want to take it there, but if you want to talk about Care Bears...
I mean, I don't want to draw the weird audience in,
yeah.
but if you like Care Bears, more power to you.
Well, I'll draw the weird audience in. Do you guys remember Invader Zim?
Oh, yeah, I remember that show.
I
that
haven't
show.
seen it.
Why don't you go ahead and explain what Invader Zim is,
Invader
Ricky?
Zim was just a fantastic show. The premise was that there's this race of aliens off somewhere in the universe, and part of like their rite of passage is that they get sent off. They have like a little supply cache that they're given, and a Sir sort of android thing to serve as their faithful companion.
A Siri, right?
Something like that, yeah. Well, I like to think they're mostly more efficient than Apple products, but maybe the one that Zim got. But it's sort of their rite of passage that they get sent off and they have to conquer a planet in the name of their empire. And frankly, I can't remember what the empire was called, but I do remember
the name.
that their leaders were the tallest among them, which was just such a wonderful example of cartoon classism. But anyways...
I mean, it's totally legit. That's where human society is going. The tallest will rule all.
Invader Zim, in particular, was perhaps the least competent of all the invaders. Just a joke among short ones, really, that was sent off to the middle of nowhere. There wasn't supposed to be anything there. They just wanted to get rid of him. They gave him a malfunctioning droid that they just tossed a couple of paper clips in for its brain, and it called itself Gurr. You may have seen it on the internet. And he ended up on Earth, and it's pretty much about all of his shenanigans, just trying really, really hard, and failing pretty miserably to take over the Earth.
It's a pretty great show.
It was a wonderful cartoon. I enjoyed it so much. I know a lot of parents really hated it, and I think that's why it didn't get approved for any more seasons.
Yeah.
I think it only got one season.
I can't remember. I think it is a short run now.
But that was so good.
That was on Nickelodeon, right?
I think it was.
Yeah, there was sort of a trifecta of channels that had all the cartoons, like in a triopoly, I guess you would call it. But it was Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and the Disney Channel. And they basically, between those three, had 95% of the good cartoons on TV. And I don't know when it happened, but it started all falling apart at some point. Because I don't know if it's just me growing up. I like to think that it's not. Yeah. But I can't stand the cartoons that are on those channels right now.
No, Anthony, you have to believe that it's not you. It's the kids who are wrong.
Yeah, they ruined it.
They did. Oh, man. Yeah, I understand that there's a remake of another classic cartoon that I enjoyed so much. Actually,
yeah.
Another one that was in my later cartoon years, probably later than Foster's Home, but it really drew me in. Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Ah, that one, okay.
Was one of, I thought, the best narrative sort of cartoon experiences that I ever had.
Yeah, I didn't really get into it as a kid. I never actually watched the series. But I've got a bunch of friends who keep telling me to watch it, and I believe that it's really good. Like, I've actually heard that it's really good, just not on a cartoon basis, but just on a narrative basis. It's a really well-structured story.
It's fantastic. It has some mixed reception because it comes off as sort of an American anime, I guess. Mm-hmm. And some people have some pretty mixed feelings about the anime genre in these United States of America,
but my lips, they're not matching when I move my mouth.
But even Ken here, who's undergoing a very painful experience in a class that's forcing him to experience some anime that he doesn't like so much, knows that Avatar.
Avatar's pretty great.
Was pretty wonderful.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it regularly and keep up with the story, but every episode I was able to catch, I absolutely loved. It was great.
It's a wonderful show. And for those of you who aren't familiar, just to give you a quick premise, there's 4 sort of main elements in the world. There's fire, earth, water, and air.
And heart. It's all about that heart. Heart?
No.
Maybe the heart kid should just go back to magic school, but he probably belongs there. But go on with
As
Avatar.
I was saying, the Fire Nation decided that, well, the leader of the Fire Nation anyway, decided that he wanted to take over the world. And he started by trying to eliminate the line of avatars, which were people that could master control of all 4 elements. By the way, these people are pseudo-Jedi in that each nation has, in general, the ability to control that element, but I won't get too far into that. So the main character of the show is the last of the airbenders that somehow survived this genocide of, what did they even call them? The Airwalkers or something?
Along those lines. But
And he has to basically save the world from the Fire Nation, and it's really great. It's a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, we've already decided amongst us, well, me and Ken anyway, that we need to watch through Avatar again. Hopefully that'll happen pretty soon.
Yeah, like I didn't watch it all as a kid. I've seen some episodes, so I know what basically is going on, but is it the Earthbenders who could move metal? Like, I know they can move earth, but if they're powerful enough, they could move metal around.
Some of them could, yes.
Yeah, I just like to think, like, because I'm a huge superhero nerd, I just like to think that, like, Magneto is the last remnant of the Earthbenders.
Oh, man. Imagine Magneto if he could also move earth, though.
I mean, people like to think that Magneto's sort of a stupid villain, that, like, moving metal is, like, limited and not a very overpowered superpower. I disagree just for how powerful Magneto is. He can pull the iron out of your blood and kill you with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's...
I think those people are completely wrong. I think Magneto's super powerful.
Yeah.
Especially in modern society. There's metal all over the place.
That's true.
If Magneto showed up here, he could kill us in about 500 different ways right now.
I like to think he'd use the pop filter to kill me.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel like that's the way I should go.
Shock mount just goes hurtling through my neck right now. It's at the right angle, too.
Magneto, no!
Magneto, no!
He has Nito in his name. Like, Nito!
I don't know where you're going with that.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for your favorite part of the podcast, except for all of it with me. It's time for another mini segment, or as I like to call them, mini sequences, because they sparkle. I'm getting sort of sick of that. But
You should be.
now I'm going to say it every time, Ricky. We're going to do a different one for you guys. This one's called Old Timey News Report. Basically, the premise of the game is I'm going to jump in with a news story that's going around in current times, and I'm going to translate it back like I'm a time traveler from like the 17th century, basically, and I just don't understand what's going on, but I'm writing a letter back to my relatives because I don't understand that letters don't travel through time, trying to explain some news story. And the news story that I chose for you guys right now is Ebola and the Ebola outbreak going on. I don't know why, I just sort of like saying the word Ebola.
Ebola.
Since you can't see our faces, I'm looking really concerned right now. I hope this is in good taste.
Hopefully it is. I mean, with me, it could spiral out of control
Ebola.
very quickly. Bola, bola, bola. All right.
Oh boy.
I gotta be sort of serious for this, but I'm gonna bring you guys a character from my large repertoire of acting skills.
Is it Gambit?
Is it Gandalf?
I wish. It could be Gamdolf. All right. Dearest Elizabeth, I hope this letter finds you well. I have woken up in a strange place at a strange time. They have something going around right now that I don't quite understand. All this weird English that they're speaking, using just weird words that I don't understand. But something terrible is happening. There's a disease going around, Elizabeth, that they call Ebola. Ebola is apparently coming from Africa. I don't know if I ever taught you what Africa was, Elizabeth, but it's where we got our slaves from. They probably just realized, hey, we can kill our masters before they even make us slaves. So they decided to make this disease, and they're getting back at us. Elizabeth, we have to stop them. But anyway, I'm not quite sure how Ebola is supposed to work, but it spreads in a very weird manner. Apparently, you have to come in contact with the poo-poo of another individual. You have to spit in their mouth or drink their blood. I don't know what these people are doing. It's a very strange time. Are they vampires, Elizabeth? I don't understand. How is it spreading so quickly? It doesn't make sense, Elizabeth. I'm doing this all in writing, too, so just keep in mind that I'm writing a lot right now. I'm really freaked out. Anyway, they're transmitting it all around the world in these strange metal horses that fly around and defy gravity, Elizabeth. It's amazing. I haven't gone on one yet, because apparently if you do, you're going to get Ebola. But it's just this amazing technology I don't understand. There's this organization that they call the TSA that's trying to stop the spread of Ebola. They're getting everyone who's traveling on this magical flying horse to drop their pants, and they're checking their cavities for Ebola. But I don't understand, Elizabeth. Isn't that how you spread Ebola? Anyway, we're probably all going to die. I don't know how to stop it. It's spreading quickly, and everybody is in danger. Everybody. Still, Elizabeth, if I should die, I hope this letter finds you well. I hope that you live a long and prosperous life, free of the poo-poo-ridden disease known as Ebola. I hope that you're fine. I hope that your mother is doing well. And if I die, please don't touch my body. I don't want you to get Ebola. Goodbye, Elizabeth. You're welcome, guys. That was powerful. That was Oscar-worthy material. And I'm a little drained now. I'm a method actor, so I had to actually travel back in time and catch Ebola. So I might not be around next week, but I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Oh my gosh, that was fantastic, Anthony. Thank you for that lovely, lovely experience.
I wish we'd had video of that, because I don't know about Ken, I was dying over here.
Yeah.
So now,
so good.
I hope that was educational, that you guys know about the pandemic of Ebola and how it's going to kill us all.
Don't touch the poo-poo.
Oh boy, Anthony, after that little segment you put together there.
Yeah, guys, I'm back. I made it.
That's incredible. But we do have something else, a little less old-timey, but just as scientific to talk about, too. This is another thing
science!
that came from one of our many lunch conversations. Some people talk about the weather, or the sports, or whatever.
Yeah.
We talk old media and metaphysics.
Ricky, are we nerds?
Well, it's all relative, isn't it?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, if we're talking about it's relative, we're nerds.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, God.
But, Anthony, you came to us with a proposition the other day at lunch. You were really excited about it.
That's true.
It
I
had
did.
something to do with mirrors. Explain it to the people.
Okay. So I basically figured out a way that you could see into the past with it's not speculation, it's not videotaping, but you could use mirrors to see into the past to figure out what really happened in history. And this is all really theoretical and really nerdy, so I hope you can keep up, but I'm going to try to explain it now. So basically the concept of mirrors works is that light reflects off the mirror. Light comes down, hits an object to create that object's image, and then that object's image hits the mirror and bounces back into our eyes. But if you don't know, light actually has a speed. It's not instantaneous, so it actually takes a tiny fraction of time to actually do all that. And the concept that has to be understood for this is a light year is a distance of space that basically makes it so that that's the distance of space that light can travel in a year, and it's this huge distance. But if you were standing at one edge of the light year and the sun was at the other edge of a light year, it would take you a year to see the light from the sun, basically. So my theory is this. If we took a mirror and placed it a light year out in space, it would take a year for the light from, whatever object originated its image to hit that mirror, and then it'd take another year to hit back. So say you were looking for your own reflection. It would take a year for your image that the light created by bouncing off of you to even hit the mirror. But at that point, you're not going to be seeing yourself in the mirror because you're still going to be seeing the light that has been traveling back from the mirror during that year. So it's going to take another year for basically the image of you to come back. And at that point, it'll be 2 years later after the light had originally hit you that you're going to be seeing a year-old image of yourself. It's really trippy, but I figured out that if we took a mirror and we were somehow able to see at this distance, like these extreme distances that I'm talking about, but we put it a really far way away from Earth, so like 50 light years basically, if we did it right now, we could see, what would it be, 50 years into the past?
100 years.
Yeah.
So it would take 50 to get
years.
there and 50 back. We had a little bit of confusion about this at the lunch table, but after running some intensive calculations, Ken provided the calculus for us.
It's true.
We determined that for every light year away the mirror is, that's 2 years that it takes for the image to get back.
So we could totally figure out who actually assassinated JFK, or if they're all these conspiracy theories. We could totally figure that out if we could somehow get mirrors out there far enough and see them. But that just, the inner nerd in me really freaks out about that stuff because, yes, it's totally impractical and we can't really do anything with it, but it's a possibility to actually see into the past, not messing with time, which we know very little about.
It's a cool idea. I mean, you say not messing with time. It would require us to go faster than the speed of light by some stretch of practice. But
but we can fold space-time. Use wormholes.
Can we? Can you? I can't.
I'm folding space-time right now.
Oh my gosh, I thought those were my sheets.
I made a space dove. Paper mache, I made a space fortune teller. You want to know what your fortune is?
Yes.
Please
I don't want to mess around with this just fragment of space-time. I might create a black hole.
That is a cool idea, though. That is really neat. Thank you for bringing that to us.
But yeah, it gets into the realm of metaphysics and just weird thought experiments that really aren't practical in everyday life, but that really shake up your thinking just of the universe around you. Do you guys have any metaphysic thought experiments that you think about a lot?
Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat. Why don't you explain that, Ken?
So, Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment where this physicist, whose last name was Schrodinger, he poisoned his cat. We'll leave ethics aside for
science.
Right now. But he poisoned his cat and put him in a box. And Schrodinger concluded that the cat is both alive and dead until Schrodinger opens the box and looks inside to determine whether or not the cat is actually alive or actually dead.
So
and that's the gist of that.
Yeah, to get into it, what was Schrodinger trying to prove? Because I know that he was trying to prove something. I'm just trying to gout it out of you because I'd like to think that Schrodinger just didn't murder his cat for some weird thought experiment. But
well, he didn't actually do this.
Yeah.
So it was just theoretical. As far as I know, I can't speak for Schrodinger's ethics.
You know how we could tell? Mirrors.
Yes.
But he was trying to prove that, at a molecular level, electrons exist and don't exist all at the same time in this relative amount of space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really weird thought. We have a friend, Kenny, who's a chemistry major, and he could probably explain all this better, but chemistry is weird. It doesn't fit with any other sciences very well.
It doesn't even fit with other chemistries. Ask a physical chemist what they think of an organic chemist, and, you're in for a treat.
Yeah. Ask a chemist anything, and they're just going to be angry at you because their line of study just seems terrible. It probably destroys all the niceness in humanity, and, we can look at Kenny. Kenny's pretty destroyed.
Yeah, Kenny's pretty broken.
Kenny is broken. Let's just make sure this is clear. Me being Ken is not the same as Kenny being Kenny.
That's true. The Y is very important.
Very important.
I could say that I could say that I murdered Ken, but that wouldn't be true because Ken's right here. If I said I murdered Kenny, you guys would have no idea if I had murdered him or not. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh.
Oh. So, Ricky, do you have any metaphysic things that are to do with space or time travel or whatnot?
Well, we did talk a bit about space and the need for NASA as well at our most recent luncheon that Ken was absent for, but we'll fill him in. So you may or may not be aware there's a group of people, scientists, privately funded, that would really like to start a colony on Mars. And
Mars.
the idea is that they're going to take 4 sort of finalists and put them in this rocket thing.
Yeah,
with
they're holding a contest, right, for people who want to volunteer to go to Mars?
I think so, yeah, and they've been sort of narrowing down from, I think, probably tens of thousands of applicants. But they want to send these 4 people to Mars on a rocket ship, which will take, I think when Mars is at its most sort of accessible point for a rocket to get there, like 9 months for them to get there.
It's a ridiculous amount of space.
And the idea is that these 4 people will sort of establish a base on Mars. I don't know exactly how they're going to do this. I think the rocket has some modules in it that'll make basic sort of rooms for them to live in on the surface. And enough supplies to last a year. And then they're going to send another rocket with more supplies, hopefully more people, but if not, just more supplies. And these people can never come back to Earth ever.
Yeah, they're basically just sending them out for the slaughter, and that's just hoping that they can get supplies to them in time.
Yeah.
And there's no really even scientific reason to go there. The people are probably just going to be really bored once they get there. Like,
yeah,
they might be able to bring like a ball in a cup with them and try to get the ball in the cup. And if they miss, it's okay because the string is connected to the ball, connected to the cup. But yeah, there's an explanation of the game Ball in a Cup if you didn't know.
Ball in a cup.
You didn't know how to get ball in a cup.
Ball
works.
in a cup.
But I guess the sort of idea why they want to do this is both A, it'd be cool if we could get people to live on Mars, and B, sort of the long-term NASA shared goal that we need to find alternatives for when we can't live on Earth anymore for any given reason. And the point that I rose at lunch is if we really want to go somewhere else, why not try going to the moon first? Because we've been to the moon a few times. I don't know if you're aware of this. Much closer than Mars.
Yeah.
Takes...
Oh, wait, what? Slow down, Poindexter. This is news to me.
No, actually, I just made that up. The moon is only so big because it's just huge. It takes up that much. No, but the moon is much closer. We can get there in, I don't know, a couple of days. It doesn't take nearly 9 months. I can tell you that much. And
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
There was a point in this like past presidential election where one of the candidates, Newt Gingrich, had said that he wanted to establish a colony on the moon, and a lot of people were like, "What are you talking about? You're ridiculous," and blah blah blah. And to be fair, his timeline for that, he wanted to do that within like 4 years, which is sort of ridiculous, but
it's pretty optimistic.
Yeah, but it's also like I don't see all the flack that he got for it. He's trying to create a national goal for us to find, and it also has some benefits into seeing if life is sustainable in other environments besides Earth, because we're slowly killing it.
Yeah, I guess, and you brought up the economics of this, that a lot of people don't see any short-term benefit in trying to get to other planets, but I don't know, I'd pay to go to the moon. I wouldn't want to go to Mars if you don't get to come back. That sounds terrible. I don't think anyone is going to pass the psychological screening necessary to prove that they won't go crazy on the way to Mars.
To want to go to Mars, you're going to fail the psychological screening just out of the box. But, you know, I can't blame people. Whatever floats their boat, except they won't be able to float their boat because there's no water on Mars. But
or is there?
Bum, bum, bum.
No, there's not.
Well, shucks.
I hate to spoil it for you.
You know how we could figure out if there ever was water on Mars?
How could we do that?
Is it mirrors?
Yeah, it's mirrors.
Yay. I did it, guys.
It's mirrors.
Man, mirrors are cool. Mirrors are a mystery, like magnets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about magnets for a long time.
Oh, man. Let's not talk about magnets.
We might want to stay out of that for the right now.
Yeah. Any other metaphysics, Anthony?
Not that I can think of. There's lots of other cool ideas in metaphysics that you can go, look up on your own. There's a couple of cool ones that, they say movement is impossible because to move from point A to point B, you have to move half the distance, but to move that distance, you have to move half that distance. And eventually, you're going to be moving in so small of increments that you're not making any distance at all. And that's, of course, that just shows how fruitless metaphysics is, because we all know that we can move, or do we? But we could talk about metaphysics for a long time. There's a lot of cool stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm sure I have some other ones locked in my mysterious mind somewhere, but I'm drawing a little bit of a blank right here. I do really like the Schrodinger's cat one, though, if only because it explains accurately where the curiosity killed the cat phrase comes from. Little known fact that it comes from Schrodinger's cat, because the idea is you don't know if the cat is alive or dead until you open the box, and lo and behold, it's dead because you poisoned it, you horrible, horrible people. But
how do you know that cat didn't deserve to die? That cat may have been preventing us from going to Mars, Ricky.
I don't actually think so.
A very powerful cat.
Yeah, is that cat Magneto?
That cat is probably Magneto.
Oh.
He was a cat all along. A cool cat.
I kind of want to get a cat and name it Magneto now.
And then get another cat, name it Professor X, and have them do battle.
No, I'll get another cat and name it Wheels.
Essentially the same thing. Wheelchair joke on the second episode.
Hey, Wolverine said it. I'm quoting Wolverine.
That's true.
If you have a wheelchair, you're a cool guy. You have more nicknames than I do.
Yeah.
Wish I had nicknames.
I mean, you could ride around in a wheelchair, but then when people realize that you weren't paralyzed, they might get a little offended at you, but...
Yeah.
Wheelchairs are also expensive.
It's true.
I was just thinking steal one from the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Stealing from a hospital.
That's...
They don't need all those.
They might,
See
actually.
all those fancy machines? Nurse, I need a wheelchair. They're all gone!
Oh, no. This has been a wild and crazy podcast.
Yeah, we sort of hopped all over the place. Talked about metaphysics and space, and
We did.
comic books, cartoons, all that crazy jazz.
Man, we just watched A Cabin in the Woods before this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What a crazy movie that is.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, I can't really give you any details without somewhat spoiling the movie. But
There is a cabin, and it may be located in the woods.
it may or may not be located in the woods. Mirrors may or may not be involved in time travel. But but if you have the chance, I would recommend that movie. To go at least see it once or twice. Go watch Cabin in the Woods. It's a good ride.
If you want, I'm going to give the qualifier, if you want a good movie, you probably don't want to see Cabin in the Woods, but if you want an interesting kind of makes you think about the concept of horror movies kind of movie, Cabin in the Woods has some pretty interesting premises in it.
It makes your thinker box go.
And you will never look at horror movies the same way ever again.
It's true. I've ruined Halloween forever.
Yep, that's okay.
There's still
Alright.
candy.
Yeah,
Candy's in Halloween.
I like
It's
candy.
true.
What's your favorite candy, Ken?
Oof. That's a tough one.
I
For the sake
like
of-
candy. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, your voice is so angelic.
Don't say that.
No.
Don't encourage me.
Well, because Halloween is nearing, I'm going to say my favorite candy right now is candy corn. Just for the sake of
Very
the
good.
seasons.
Very good.
It's so strong, though.
It's very sweet.
It makes me feel unwell if I have like more than a couple of handfuls.
It's very good mixed with nuts. However, you are not a big fan of the nuts.
Yeah, as you may have learned just a few seconds ago, I'm not a big fan of nuts.
Ah, Ricky, you're nuts. Was that pun too candy corny for you?
Okay.
So, Anthony, what's your favorite candy since we are nearing Halloween?
I don't know, man. It sort of switches, but it usually goes between like Reese's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats. Those are the two contenders.
Those are very good. I've got to keep it real with the Milky Ways. I'm a big fan of
Milky Ways are good.
Sometimes called Snickers without nuts by Colonel Potter of the TV show MASH, but
Ricky, you're not nuts. Man, Milky Way,
boy.
bringing it back to space and chocolate at the same time.
Ooh,
We're good at this podcasting stuff.
man, we are the best. You guys should totally share us with all your friends. Tell them about our adventures.
That's true.
They'll
That's
be
true.
sold.
Write into us if you want us to talk about a certain thing. We'll try to get to that and do it justice, and then you can listen to us talk about your suggestion and cringe because we're not staying on the suggestion whatsoever. But
Yeah.
we'll try. We'll try.
Once again, if you would like to send us any suggestions, fan mail, hate mail, suggestions, again.
I'd actually like you to send in hate mail. If you send in hate mail, I'm going to read it on the next podcast, and that would just be great. That would actually make me smile. So bring on the hate mail, please.
That
Can I send us hate mail?
Yes. Yes, you
Okay.
can.
I'm going to send us hate mail.
That email address, once again, is couchsidemail@gmail.com. All one word, couchsidemail@gmail.com.
All right. You guys have anything else to add?
Thanks
all
for
good?
having me on this podcast, guys. It was loads of fun.
Yeah,
I
it
would
was
like
lots of fun.
to plug Ken. He doesn't actually have a YouTube channel like Anthony, so I can't
That's
plug
true.
it. But
But we're just going to plug Ken in general.
Yeah.
Ken's a great guy.
Ken's a cool dude.
We're not going to tell you his last name for liability reasons, but if you see Ken in the street, any Ken, go up and give him a hug. And
We
just
all
say
like hugs.
just say thank you. And
Especially if they're free.
Yeah.
and then do an awkward like sniff of the neck and stare at them
Okay,
as
don't
you
do
back
that.
away slowly.
Please don't do that.
That's a little strange.
I might run away and scream.
Mm.
I don't like running or screaming.
Once again, would like to thank Bensound for providing all the music that is used in this podcast. That is bensound.com for all your royalty-free fancy pants music needs.
Thank you, Bensound.
Thank you.
Plug it. And I think that's about it for us.
Yeah, that
I hope
does
you
it for
guys
us.
hope you guys enjoyed listening. If you're listening on SoundCloud, feel free to check out our YouTube channel at Couch Side Correspondents. I almost forgot the name of the podcast. Almost, but I didn't. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, feel free to check out our SoundCloud too. It's the same name. It's not hard to find.
Yeah, we'll always be here. I mean, if you found one of them, then you're listening to this. But come check out our other thing.
Yeah,
Same content, different place. We'd love to have you over there too.
we do stuff,
And things.
especially things.
With stuff.
We're
Thanks,
doing
guys.
this.
Tune in next week.
Bye.
Bye.